Hey folks, it's Chad here, and today we have a little bit of a different video. We're going to talk about this little Champion 4,000 watt generator, and we're going to see how you might be able to utilize it with your Airstream this summer. Let's get started now. All right folks, I've got my Flying Cloud behind me. We are actually getting ready for the Region 3 Airstream rally that is coming up in just a few weeks. If you're going to be there, make sure you come and say hi, and let us know that you're a part of the channel. So not too long ago, I was able to pick up this Champion generator. Not to get into a whole story, but actually a customer make this happen, which is really cool. And I've been wanting to make this video. So this is it's a Champion 4,000 watt generator. It's a dual fuel generator from Champion, so it can use gasoline, but it also can run off of propane. My plan is to basically only ever use this with propane. Hopefully that will help it last longer and not have to go through as many run cycles and things like that. But I've been playing with it a little bit today. The biggest thing is I wanted to be able to utilize, and you can see the hose kind of right there, utilize Airstream's low pressure connection that's on the front of the Airstream, so I didn't have to carry another bottle of propane around when we might need to use this. Now, if we were going to go for like a really long trip, we may need to still bring another propane bottle just for the generator, but there's two 30-pound propane tanks in that cover right there, so we have 60 pounds of propane, and we really don't use a ton of propane when we're camping. So let me show you just a few things, and I'm going to crank it up as well, and I'll show you some of the power that it's been able to create. Before I get into the testing phase, I'm going to show you what it can, power wise. I'm going to run it, and I'm going to show you actually in like watts production. I have a Victron system on my camper, so I'll be able to show you that. Before we get into that, I want to show you what the front has on it. So it does have an eco mode, and there's also an alert mode for the O2 shield. If you get too much O2 in this area, it will throw an alert and let you know that there's something not right. Starting on this side, we're going to have a traditional kind of 12-volt power input, like your cigarette lighter style, and then it has a breaker above that. You just push that in to reset it. And then this is where your propane connects into. The fuel tank is going to be up here on the top. You've got the ability to do parallel connections, so you could put two of these together and have 4,000 watts or 8,000 watts. But that's if you're going to use the gasoline. More like 6,400 watts if you go with the propane, if you use two propane tanks. And then beside that, you're going to have your traditional RV 30 amp plug right there. And then it says up here on the top 120 volts by 25 amps, but it has a 30 amp fuse or breaker above it. And then beside that, we're going to have our 110 or 120 volt 20 amp sockets, and then a 20 amp breaker above that. And then just below that, you have your ground for grounding this. In those different scenarios, I think the grounding is also part of the parallel connection. But this is the front of this generator, and as I mentioned, this thing is not very big. Check out the side profile up close. Like, you can compare it to my head size, right? Like, this is not very big. It's also not that heavy, and it's packing 4,000 watts with gasoline and like 3,200 watts with propane. Pretty sweet generator. All right, let's jump in, and we're going to look at what this thing can produce and what it does with our Airstream. I've got it just sitting here on the driveway. I've got my 30 amp plug plugged into it, and we have a Victron system on our RV, so we'll be able to look at the wattage that's coming into the camper. Now, the way this one's set up, which is, I think, a little bit unfortunate, but at the price point, I think when I got it, it was in the $700 price range, like $700 to $800. Now it's in like the $600 range. So for 4,000 watts, dual fuel inverter generator by Champion, this thing is a massive amount of bang for the buck, I feel like. The one downside, I think, is you've got this, I think it's called an evaporator, that is part of the propane system, and it's not inside the generator. I think some generators, maybe Honda, probably not Honda, but I think some generators, when they do propane dual fuel, this is built into the actual generator itself instead of being a separate piece. And then normally you would have this pressure regulator attached to that. Now, if you notice, it is not attached to it. This has actually now got a quick disconnect on it. I'm going to link all of the parts down in the description to my Amazon store, so you can pick up this stuff if you want to do the same conversion kit to your Champion. I'll also link the Champion generator down there too. And we do make a little bit of money if you use our Amazon links. So if you are in the market to get a generator for this summer, for this camping season, use that link, because that'll help us out a little bit. And then make sure to click that subscribe button, click the like button. So what I bought off of Amazon was basically an extension hose that had a quick disconnect on one side right there, as you can see, and it has it off. Like, I like that it has this off valve, so I can turn that off when we're not using it. And then on the other side, it was the same diameter to fit right into the low pressure port right there. Now, I did have to buy some different types of ends, like these guys right here, to be able to set this up so I could use it with the generator. So the way I have it set up, if you look at, you shut that off, so that's in off position. So this piece right here I can pop off. So this is my basically extension hose, and then I added another quick connect to the regulator, so I can plug this in to here and use it as a regular setup with a propane tank. I can also do that with this extension hose. So if I want to put the propane tank a little bit further away from the generator and still utilize this port that plugs straight into a propane tank, I can do that. So let me get this back connected. Very simple. It just connects right in like that, and then it's connected, and then you can open the valve there to allow propane to go through. So far, super impressed just with the whole system. I've ran this generator quite a bit just to kind of break it in. There's a certain amount of hours, I think it's 5 hours, something like that, that they want you to run the generator to break it in. So we're past that point, and I've done an oil change as well, so we're on fresh oil. Now, as far as to start this on propane, two things I have found. If you let the generator run to the point that, like, you turn off the propane, and then you let it run until it turns off, which cleans out all of the propane that's sitting in the system, it's a little bit harder to crank after that, like, because you got to kind of prime it. But once it's already primed, like, say you're using, like, you're camping, you're using it, you're turning it on for a couple hours a day to charge the batteries, then in that case, it's pretty easy to turn on. And that's kind of the situation I'm in right now. So I've already ran this a little bit today as I was testing it. So let me turn it to, that's propane. It also will run off of gasoline, which like I said, I'm not planning to do that. And then there's a choke. So I should be able to pull this one time. Now, if it is a fresh crank, like you haven't used it at all, then what you would want to do is pull it down, or turn this down to the choke right there. And then you would pull the manual crank slowly a couple of times to kind of prime it, and then bring it back up to propane. And then we should be able to pull it one time. Yep. There it goes. 2 times. So right now it's running with no load on it. And let me see if I have a decibel meter on my phone. So I don't currently have a good decibel meter to be able to measure that. But what I will say is it is louder. It's like concert loud, but no load on it right now. So it's just idling. So what I need to do now, I just want to show you kind of what it's able to do. Like I said, we're kind of getting our camper ready for Region 3, so it's a little bit of a mess. And of course, as always, you know, when you own an Airstream, you're kind of always doing like, you're always doing some kind of project, it feels like. So we've got the multi-control here, which eventually I'm actually going to get rid of this, and I'm going to do a whole video about that. Just haven't got around to it, so make sure you're subscribed. So we're going to be bulk charging, and I'll be able to show you our system. It's a Victron system. You've got your shore power input right there, which is what the generator is currently providing, 1600 watts. And then you've got AC load, which there's not really any AC load right now, but what we are doing is bulk charging the battery. We have a 460 amp hour Epic Elite battery that's up in the front storage. So we're charging, it does say 100%, but it's at 13.4 volts. It needs to be at 13.8. So it's putting 1200 watts into the system. Now I've got it set at 15 amps. I'm going to crank it up to 20 amps so we can see it doing more than just the 1600 watts. So to 20 amps, which should put us about 2000 watts of input. So we'll see that gradually move up, or we may not, since that's probably my charge limit. So let me turn the AC on. I'm gonna turn the heat on. It's a little bit chilly out, and we should see some changing. Now the AC just kicked on, and we're gonna see the shore power increase here in just a second. So now we're still at 1900 watts right there, you can see. And in this case, it's running the heater and it's sending a little bit of charge, not much, only 43 watts, but sending a little bit of charge into the battery there, so it's covering all the loads. Now let's go outside and just look at it run. From what I can tell, this thing will just sit here and purr. Now it's definitely louder at this point, and there are videos, if you're wondering like how loud it is, there's a ton of videos on YouTube that shows that and measures that for you. But I just wanted to show you this system. It's running off our propane tank on the RV, so we're not having to carry another propane tank with us. 4,000 watt generator. It is right now producing, let's see here. Right now, I'm coming inside because it's so loud outside. But right now it's producing 2100 watts, and I can increase that a little bit too. Let's see. This should be able to get close to 2500 watts, and the generator be just fine right there. 2600. Still running. Now we're probably charging. Yeah, we're putting a little bit of power into the battery, and then we're powering the heat pump. It's a little bit cold out right now, so I've just got the heat pump running. So like I said, like, this has been a phenomenal little generator, and the biggest thing too is it's really not that big. Like, that is easy to carry with one person. I'm going to reduce the I'm going to turn everything off now, and then I want to kind of conclude the video real quick. So I'll be right back. I would say for $600 to $800, this thing is pretty impressive. You saw it producing over 2,500 watts, which would be roughly 25 amps. 3,000 watts would be 30 amps. So, I mean, and the biggest thing too with these generators, you generally don't want to run them at 100% capacity. The ability for them to create consistent energy is limited when you try to run it at full capacity. So running at that kind of 20 to 25 amp mark is a good test for this, because this is where that's probably where you're going to really run it if you're using propane. Now, if you're using the gasoline, you're going to get the 4,000 watts out of it, and then you could really probably run it at a 30 amp, like just 30 amps and just full go the whole thing. And that means that this thing can cover a regular 30 amp camper, which our Flying Cloud happens to be a 30 amp camper. We have one air conditioner on top, so we're 30 amp. But this is, I think, very much worth consideration if you're in the market for a generator. Now, it's not a Honda. Honda has a name for a reason, and Honda is probably a better product. But you're also talking about $2,000 or $3,000 for something that you're going to use occasionally. That's kind of the case we are. Like, we're going to use this occasionally. I really want to have it. This is something that we'll take with us. Like, we may use it at Harvest Host, or we're going to Region 3. If something happens to where we don't end up having power for that week, well, we've got this bad boy, and we can survive that week. Again, if you're in the market, go down into the description and click the link that will take you to my Amazon storefront, and purchase this there. We do get paid a little bit off of Amazon. It's not a ton, but a little bit, and it does help. but also even more so, click the subscribe button to this channel and then the like button. If you like this, you have questions about the Champion 4,000 watt generator. I'm not really sure, like the model over here says 201050. I'm not sure if that's actually a model. And it just says Champion inverter 4,000 watts. So, but I will link it below so you can see that. And I will say there's a ton of good videos out there on YouTube that goes way more in depth than I did. With this video was more so just seeing how you could use it with your Airstream, and then how you could create a quick disconnect to be able to plug straight into your Airstream's propane system, which is pretty stinking cool. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments. Hope you guys are living riveted. We'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye.